morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. Myself, Vaibhav. In today's session, the talk of the town is, of course, the ECB's monetary policy announcement. We got this monetary policy couple of hours back, and so far, if we look at the Euro's moves after the policy announcement, we didn't really get much clarity earlier. It jumped on the higher side, and now it has given up most of those gains, and it is trading almost flat where it was prior to the monetary policy announcement. And we will be looking for trading opportunities in light of this. If you consider the policy announcement from the ECB, it has left the interest rates unchanged at 0%. The deposit facility rate stands at minus 0.5, and the marginal lending rate at 0.25%. So there is no change, just the way it was expected. But there are some changes in the policy statement, and this time around, the ECB is emphasizing that it will not be acting in hurry, and it is going to be accommodative, and it might even allow the inflation to overshoot the its mandated target of 2% in near term. And reason behind that is ECB is expecting these recent uptick in inflation to be rather transitory. If we look at the core inflation, even now, even after these higher readings, it is still below 1%. So there is a lot of room for the ECB to maneuver, and we have this cushion. And I think as a result of that, the ECB is not going to change or provide us any hawkish view, at least not in near term. So that has, of course, made the ECB more dovish, or you can say slightly dovish, whatever is your interpretation. But we are not really seeing much of a negative impact, or you can say bearish impact on the Euro USD, and Euro USD is trading in a narrow range. You can say it is consolidating closer to 1.18, and now it will be over to the technicals to help us guide in determining the trading direction. Moving to the US data, we got the initial jobless claims for the last week, and contrary to the expectations, we have this reading climbing above 400,000. To be precise, it is at 419,000, and this is the 2 month high. And the reason behind these upticks are not really clear. Maybe to some extent, the higher jobless benefits available to the people might be a driving factor, and even the concerns surrounding the rapid spread of the Delta variant in the United States might be. It might be the case that it is making people anxious to go out and start looking for a job. So there are a couple of factors in play, but the end of the day, it is all about more people filing for the jobless benefits, and this is casting some shadow on the strength of USD. Now let's shift our outlook on the technical side. First, we will cover the Euro USD, and then I will also be making you familiar with some of the key levels to trade for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Let's start with the Euro USD's technical outlook first. This is the daily time frame chart, and here we have this rather narrow range for the Euro USD on the daily time frame chart, where it has been consolidating for last couple of days. Today, even after the sharp move, it is almost at the unchanged levels. And now I think it will be more about the support on the lower side, and we will be looking for the buy trade if we see it consolidating closer to the prior swing low, and it of course needs to hold above the prior swing low. So that is going to be helping us in determining when to go long for any trade which we might take in the Euro USD. If we consider the technical parameters like the regression curve, here as the price action has gone sideways and near identical lows have been made on the lower side, the regression curve has flattened to great extent, and even it has started to incline on the higher side. But in absence of any sustained move on the higher side, we can't really say that this is the final word on Euro USD's bottoming out. Of course, there is no final word in trading. Everything is probabilistic, and that's what we have to keep in mind. And if we consider the movement so far in this week, we do have seen the 1.175 level to be a crucial price area for the Euro USD, and as long as Euro USD is still holding above it, we can be fairly confident of it continuing to consolidate with a near-term bias might be to again cross above 1.18. But if we look at the larger picture, the central pivot point is also far off from the current level. So it will be a tough call to say that the outlook is going to change from medium to short term, long term perspective. But in short term, the scalping kinds of trades can be taken, and for that, we will mostly have to rely on the lower time frame charting, like this hourly setup, where we do have this confluence of 50 and 100 SMAs, and this is the price area of around 1.178, and this is the price where we can target the Euro USD for any long trade if you do have to take that trade. And of course, the stop loss is going to be closer to this immediate swing low. Yesterday's low established just little above 1.175. So here the risk is of course of around 25-30 pips. We will have to take the bait anywhere in the price band of 1.1775 to 1.178. And on the higher side, we can expect the retest of the day's high established around 1.183. So we do have the possibility of Euro USD inching higher and giving us the gains of more than 50 pips, 60, 70 pips, and that is going to get us the risk reward ratio of 1 is to 2. So that's my take looking at the current price formation for the Euro USD. Now we move on to the Dow Jones Industrial Average. This is the daily time frame chart, and what a reversal it has been for the Dow. Whenever we feel like that this might be the near term top, and we might see a bearish tilt for the Dow, we get surprised again and again, and even this time around the Dow has climbed fairly sharply, and it has regained most of its prior losses. And it looks likely that now, after gaining back to the levels close to its immediate high, even all-time high, we will be better off looking for scalping trades rather than going for a long-term view. And by scalping, we will have to take into consideration that it has already moved higher for last 2 days, and the movement has been substantial. And in light of that, what we can do is we can look for to count on the sideways moves rather than any big move in either direction. Of course, it is now back closer to the resistance zone, so expecting it to again climb higher in today's session is going to be a tough ask. Rather than that, it might will spend the day in consolidation phase with bias slightly bearish. So if we have to take the trade in today's session, I think we will do well to short it closer to the 35,000 level. The day's high was established somewhere close to 34,900, and from there on it corrected around 200 points, and it is now again trying to climb close to the day high, and I think that is the price area where we are going to get the risk reward ratio in favorable terms. If we look at the price formation, we have both these technical parameters still pointing northwards. By northward, I mean that underlying momentum is still on the bullish side. We have this price action unfolding in between these support on the lower side and resistance on the higher side, and both of these levels are not really close. We have to travel almost 2 percentage point before the two levels are hit, so that's quite a lot of room for the dough to oscillate in between. And to cut down on our risk, we will of course have to rely on the lower time frame chart, where we do have the resistance in place in form of this prior swing high. In a session couple of days back, I had also talked about the possibility of 200 SMA level acting as a strong resistance, and I think that's what we are observing here. Though the Dow has climbed higher than this 200 SMA, but it hasn't really broken it on a sustainable basis. And I'm expecting the Dow to spend more time in consolidation phase, where it might even go on to correct towards 34,500 level, and that opens up the window of possibility for us to profit around 200 to 300 points. So all we have to do is short the dough as close as possible to this 35,000 level, and on the lower side we can expect the correction to deepen at the minimum towards 34,500, if not all the way towards this prior swing low. So that's my take looking at the current price formation of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. If any of you have any query or any idea to share, you can write to me in the feedback section, and I will be more than happy to take the discussion forward. Before I sign off, I would also like to remind of the risk associated with trading in the financial instrument, and one should be careful while using the information provided. You can check out the Lucoscopy Analytics page for further coverage of the market developments. You can start trading using our J4X platform, and on the Facebook, our page is there. You can also follow us there. Thank you all for joining in. Have a fabulous day ahead. Goodbye.